It would be well also that, on that day, they should pay some tribute to Jesus Christ and our Blessed Lady, either as a penance for their past unfaithfulness to the vows of their baptism, or in testimony of their dependence and allegiance to the domain of Jesus and Mary. This tribute ought to be according to the devotion and capacity of every one, as a fast, a mortification, an alms, or a candle. If they had but a pen to give in homage, yet gave it with a good heart, it would be enough for Jesus, who looks only at the good will. Once a year at least, on the same day, they should renew the same consecration, observing the same practices during the 3 weeks. They might also, once a month, or even once a day, renew what they have done by these few words: Tuus totus ego sum, et omnia mea tua sunt. I am all for Thee, and all I have belongs to Thee, O my sweet Jesus, by Mary Thy Holy Mother. Second practice. They may recite every day of their life, without however making any burden of it, the little Corona of the Blessed Virgin, composed of 3 Our Fathers and 12 Hail Marys, in honor of Our Lady's 12 privileges and grandeurs. This is a very ancient practice, for it has its foundation in the Holy Scriptures. St. John saw a woman crowned with 12 stars, clothed with the sun, and holding the moon under her feet. And this woman, according to the interpreters, was the Most Holy Virgin. There are many ways of saying this Corona well, but it would be too long to enter upon them. The Holy Ghost will teach them to those who are the most faithful to this devotion. Nevertheless, to say it quite simply, we should begin by saying, Dignare me laudare te, Virgo Sacrata, da mihi virtutum contra hostos tuos. After that, we should say the Credo, and then a Pater with 4 Aves, and then 1 Gloria Patri. Then another Pater, 4 Aves, and 1 Gloria Patri, and so on with the rest. And at the end we should say the Sub Tuum Presidium. Third practice. It is a most glorious and praiseworthy thing, and very useful to those who have thus made themselves slaves of Jesus and Mary, that they should wear, as a badge of their loving slavery, little iron chains, blessed with the proper benediction. Footnote. Note from the French. It may be thought that since the time of the Venerable Servant of God, certain decrees of the Congregation of the Index have absolutely condemned this usage. But whatever may be the precise extent of the prohibition intended by these decrees, there seems to be nothing in them formally interdicting the using of little chains to private persons. We may see at the end of Colette's Life of Oudon the remarks of that theologian, justifying the pious Archdeacon of Evreux, from the criticisms of which he was the object, by the occasion of his treatise Le Saint Esclavage de la Sainte Vierge. He cites the decrees which he read in the edition of the Index of 1758, and which have been repeated in the subsequent editions. The words of the Index are as follows: Prohibentur imagines, numismata insculpta, pro confraternitatibus mancipiorum matris Dei, Italice sciavi della Madre di Dio, sodalis contenatus ternitatibus regulae praecibentur, confraternitatis autemque contenulas, distribunt confratribus, et consororibus, brachi secolo circumpoendas aquae gestandas, ut eo signo beatissimi virgini emancipatus, se esse proficiantur, et quorum institutum in eo emancipatu principii versatur, damnatur et extinguuntur societatibus vero, quae ritsum alicum, ad quocumque aliud ad emancipatum, eius mobi pertines audibent, precipitur ut id statim redigient. Index Decreta Generalis 3:3. It is perfectly true that those external badges are not essential, and a person who has embraced this devotion may very well go without them. Nevertheless, I cannot refrain from warmly praising those who, after having shaken off the shameful chains of the slavery of the devil in which original sin, and perhaps actual sins, had engaged them, have voluntarily surrendered themselves to the glorious slavery of Jesus Christ, and glory with St. Paul in being in chains for Jesus, chains 1,000 times more glorious and precious, though of iron, than all the golden collars of emperors. Once there was nothing more infamous on earth than the cross, and now that wood is the most glorious boast of Christianity. Let us say the same of the irons of slavery. there was nothing more ignominious among the ancients, nothing more shameful even now among the heathen. But among Christians there is nothing more illustrious than the chains of Jesus, for they unchain us and preserve us from the infamous fetters of sin and the devil. They set us at liberty and chain us to Jesus and Mary, not by compulsion and constraint like galley slaves, but by charity and love like children. Trahum eus, in vinculus charitatis. I will draw them to me, said God by the mouth of the prophet, by the chains of love. These chains are as strong as death, and they are in a certain sense strongest in those who are faithful in carrying these glorious badges to their death. For, though death destroys their bodies in bringing them to corruption, it does not destroy the chains of their slavery, which, being of iron, do not corrupt so easily. Perhaps at the day of the resurrection of the body, the grand last judgment, these chains shall be round their bones, and shall make a part of their glory, and be transmuted into chains of light and splendor. Happy then, 1,000 times happy, the illustrious slaves of Jesus, who wear their chains even to the tomb. The following are the reasons for wearing these little chains. First, it is to remind the Christian of the vows and engagements of his baptism, of the perfect renewal he has made of them by his devotion, and of the strict obligation under which he is to be faithful to them. As the man who shapes his course more often by the senses than by pure faith easily forgets his obligation towards God, unless he has some outward thing to remind him of them, these little chains serve marvellously to remind the Christian of the chains of sin and of the slavery of the devil, from which baptism has delivered him, and of the dependence on Jesus, which he has vowed to him in baptism, and of the ratification of it, which he has made by the renewal of his vows. One of the reasons why so few Christians think of their baptismal vows, and live with as much license as if they had promised no more to God than the heathen, is because they do not wear any external badge to make them remember it. Secondly, it is to show that we are not ashamed of the servitude and slavery of Jesus Christ, and that we renounce the slavery of the world, sin, and the devil. Thirdly, it is to guarantee ourselves from the chains of sin and the devil, and to be beforehand with them. For we must wear either the chains of iniquity or the chains of charity and salvation. Vincula peccatorum aut vincula charitatis. O my dear brother, let us break the chains of sin and of sinners, of the world and of worldliness, of the devil and his ministers. And let us cast far from us their depressing yoke. Dirumhamus vincula errorum, et projiciamus ad nobis iudum ipsorum. Let us put our feet, to use the terms of the Holy Ghost, into his glorious irons, and our neck into his collars. Ingice pedem tuum, in compedes ilius, et in turques ilius colum tuum, subdice humerum tuum, et porta ilam, et ne acerdieris vinculis eius. You will remark that the Holy Ghost, before saying these words, prepares the soul for them, lest it should reject his important counsel. See his words, Audi, fili, et accipe concilium intellectus, et ne adiptias consilie mea. Hearken, my son, and receive a counsel of understanding, and reject not my counsel. You would wish, my very dear friend, that I should here unite myself to the Holy Ghost to give you the same counsel with him. Vincula ilius alligator salutis. His chains are chains of salvation. As Jesus Christ on the cross ought to draw all things to him, with their will or against it, he will draw the reprobate by the chains of their sins, that he may chain them like galley slaves and devils to his eternal anger and revengeful justice. But he will, and particularly in these latter times, draw the predestinate by the chains of charity. Omnia trahum ad me ipsum, traham eus, in vinculis charitatis. These loving slaves of Jesus Christ, the chained of Christ, Vinci Christi, can wear their chains either on their neck or on their feet. Father Vincent Carafa, 7th General of the Jesuits, who died in the odor of sanctity in the year 1643, used to wear a circle of iron round his feet as a mark of his servitude, and said that his only pain was that he could not publicly drag a chain. The Mother Agnes of Jesus, of whom we have spoken before, used to wear an iron chain round her body. Others have worn it round their neck, and pendants for the collars of pearls which they have worn in the world, while others have worn it round their arms, to remind themselves in their manual labors that they were slaves of Jesus Christ.